People ask the question, why are there so many religious groups, so many churches in the United States? And this is truly one of the most interesting questions in the study of American religion. Interesting in part because of the uniqueness of the United States in this regard. The United States is truly the most religiously diverse society on earth. Even if we don't always see that diversity, depending on where you live in the United States, you may not see the full extent of that religious diversity. But especially in the largest American cities, you can find religious groups of every stripe, of every ethnicity. Every world religious tradition can be studied. Every variety of homegrown American traditions can be studied.
One way to understand why we have so many different types of religions and churches and temples in the United States is a marketplace model that especially sociologists have been teaching us about over the past 20 years. Now, the way that you understand this is that because there is no official religion, the different faiths are in competition with each other. It's a supply-side argument that there's going to be a rather constant demand for religion, and so it's up to the suppliers of religion then to bring people into their doors, and so they compete with one another. Now, this is a marketplace model that you can understand it as a religious product that they're offering, and they have certain doctrines, certain experiences that one faith might have that another doesn't. You have sales representatives, and those are the ministers out there. You have sales techniques, and those would be the various forms of evangelization and proselytization. The idea here is that you can understand the American religious scene as a marketplace where they're in competition with one another. And so not only will you have just straight mainline Protestants or evangelical Protestants, you also have a number of Catholics, you have other faiths which might not appeal to some, but certainly appeal to certain niche groups that seek a different sort of religious practice and spirituality. But there's a constant marketplace for it out there, and so various religions spring up at different times to appeal to specific needs of people within that marketplace.
America very intentionally never developed a state church. There isn't a Church of America or a Church of the United States. And I mean, that was very intentional from the very beginning of the country. But what it meant was that the field was open, that people from different backgrounds, people with different interests could pursue the religion they pursued in the old country, or, and this is something special about America, really were free to start their own. If they wanted to. So what we ended up with was people from different ethnic groups, different belief systems, different social classes here in America, forming their own religious groups. I mean, for instance, most people think of Italians as Catholic, or they think of Irish immigrants to the United States as Catholic. And I'd say that was generally true, though of course nothing like that is ever 100% true. You know, Germans, some were Catholic, some were Lutheran. Most of us know about those ethnic ties, but in America over time, not only did those those denominations come to stand for ethnic groups or nationalities, they came to stand for specific theological beliefs, specific ways to organize congregations and denominations. They started their own schools. They did all kinds of things, and every one of these groups developed separately alongside the others. So in America, it's just absolutely normal to have a Lutheran, an Episcopal, a Presbyterian, a Methodist, a Baptist, and a Catholic church, really in the same very small neighborhood. And it wouldn't be that unusual now to have a synagogue or a mosque or a temple for some other religion. It became very common. Now, one way people in my field think about that is they talk about it in terms of competition, that these are all groups who in some entrepreneurial fashion are competing with one another. And I suppose in one sense, I find that explanation helpful. I mean, why are there so many different churches? Well, maybe it's connected to why so many people in America go to church compared to, say, European countries that would seem to be the most like us. Because there's probably something you have a connection to, and if there isn't, somebody could start something new. There's probably something for you. So in one sense, that competitive model, that entrepreneurial model, helps to explain it. But at the same time, we've got to see these as groups who have histories. They have ethnic and racial and social connections, and all of those are important. So while their underlying beliefs may be somewhat similar, for instance, in the case of churches, they all have underlying Christian beliefs and have a lot in common. At the same time, they really do think about things differently, they organize differently, and people's identities are bound up with these different groups they belong to. In America, we just find that normal. People come here from other countries. For instance, I have toured people around Indianapolis who were from Australia or somewhere in Europe, or even from India or Africa, and they're just stunned to go into a neighborhood of maybe 10, 15, 20,000 people and find there could be 30, 40, 50, even 100 different Christian congregations there. But it's how religion is set up in America, and it's primarily because we never had a state religion for which everything else was a sect, that we have always had religious pluralism and religious freedom, and it's just shaped the way religion looks in our whole country.